Hey, thanks for coming by to Tori Magoo 44 again. This is August 5th, and I'm on part 2 with Mr. Arnie Lerma. Want to say hi?
Hi.
We've been having a good time, and more to come. So yesterday you were talking about the Fishman document, and I thought maybe you could explain that a little bit more.
Well, the fishman document just refers to a copy of the OT levels as of 1978.
And how did they come about?
A ex-Sea Org member walked in full Sea Org uniform to the advanced org in Copenhagen and had to check something in the files and pulled a copy out and walked out the door.
Now you have to understand, this isn't someone that was part of the Sea Org. They'd left the Sea Org.
They'd already left. And his name was Robin Scott. Hi,
Thank
Robin.
you, Robin.
Thank you, Robin.
Yes, thank you.
Good job.
Good job. Okay, so literally went in Sea Org.
Yeah, well, I think it was Robin and somebody else. There was another fellow, but I don't remember the name. But Robin's still around, so he can tell the story.
Yeah, he can fill us in.
But it was, boy, that's chutzpah.
That's what it's about.
You know, in full Sea Org uniform with the gold lanyards and the epaulets on the top and the little hat, you know, the sailor hat.
But again, this was in what year? The 80s?
Oh, this would have been around 78.
78.
79, in that area.
So they weren't quite on top of critics like they are now. I mean, they're not on top of it anyway, but I'm just saying they didn't have that many.
There were no real critics at that time because there wasn't an internet.
Right.
I mean, the people that would stand up and try and say or do something about it ended up basically, in effect, getting mugged in a dark alley, having their lives mugged in a dark alley, not just themselves.
Right.
Because you couldn't get the word out. And the tactics that Scientology would use were so unbelievable that when you tried to tell somebody what was going on, nobody'd believe you anyway, and you were just a kook, which is what they would also call you, as a kook.
And how did it get into the Fishman documents?
I don't know that whole trail of how it got from there all the way to the Fishman affidavit. I don't know that story.
Okay, but I do know one thing I want to say with the Fishman things. It was a court case, right? And the Xenu story was in it, correct?
Well, no, this was the full OT levels as of 1978. You know, all the materials, the bulletins, it was all there.
Everything.
All of it. I mean, there wasn't just the story of Xenu.
Right.
There were the bulletins that had the fine print that said that when you get to this level, something like every case of no body thetans means that you didn't get enough charge off your case from your prior auditing, so you have to go back and do it now at your own expense. So it's like, if you don't see these space cooties, you have to go back and spend another $300,000. Does that, you understand what I'm saying? It's sort of like the emperor's new clothes.
Right.
It was very easy to believe in body thetans after reading that line.
So one of the things I did that they asked me to do with the Fishman documents, just for people to give you an idea without the internet how weird it was. Every day we were supposed to, I only went one day, but people went down and literally checked out the transcripts of the court case, because in the transcripts were the OT levels. And you can check out a transcript, make copies of it.
Well, the exhibit. It was an exhibit, and those documents would get checked out.
Right. But they had us go check them out and sit on them and just say, we're looking through them, or whatever. That's how weird they were back then. And, trying to keep everything secret so no one would ever know.
They're not so weird now?
They're totally weird now. They're weirder than ever. But I'm just saying, back then, these people, most of the people that are on the net, just all of you have access to so much stuff that we just didn't have back then. That's what I'm trying to say.
I mean, when I posted this stuff to the net, it was to a Usenet group And the web was like a brand new thing. I mean, yeah, there were websites, nice, some text and stuff, but it's not, it was like, the very first HTML. It was very crude, sort of like my website still is. But if you wonder where that style comes from, I think it's HTML3. I think they're up to 5 now or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. I stopped being able to keep track of it. Everything's been going so quickly. But the kids seem to be able to keep track of it.
They can. And you were going to explain how Joe Harrington was...
Oh. Joe Harrington died of pancreatic cancer. And on his deathbed, he said, "I am Scamstat." So, Joe Harrington, God bless him, was the guy that was posting much of that material to the internet anonymously. He was a gentle man that always told the truth, and he was in the Coast Guard in the 70s, and after the FBI raided Scientology in 1977, he lost his job in the Coast Guard because he was suspected of being a Scientology infiltrator.
Really?
Which he was not, really. He was, that was, the sea was his most favorite thing. And Scientology took that away by their conduct, not by anything he did. Just guilt by association.
Right.
All right? The man was a stand-up man that I don't think he told a lie in his life.
All right, well, God rest his soul. He's flying high somewhere, hopefully.
He's smiling right now.
I know, he's smiling right now. So, and all of you, we have a bunch of friends who have passed away who were critics or fought the church for a long time, and we know for Anonymous and the critics and all the ex-Scientologists who are speaking out and doing something, they're smiling. Definitely. I know it. All right, so now you were raided, and you didn't really go into that too much. You were going to tell us a little bit more about what happened. And we're going to put the link that shows a video of his house actually getting raided in the notes.
Well, there's 2 parts of it, and I could cover one part of it.
Okay.
All right, and they ended up, they take my computer, my files, my, papers, stuff in the file cabinets, all that stuff goes with them. When I went to try to call for help afterwards, I didn't even have my Rolodex.
Right.
And
we didn't have cell phones.
Oh, this was before cell phones. Well, maybe they were just starting.
Right, but they were the big blocks.
Yeah, but they were big.
Yeah.
And no, I didn't have a cell phone. And
everything was written down.
It wasn't quite that bad. There was a net, and you could scan, turn stuff into text, and put it on,
I know, but I'm just saying for phone numbers and stuff. You didn't have, those were written down.
Right. And but I had my phone numbers. I had a Rolodex, and I had some phone numbers.
I don't know what a Rolodex is.
What a bunch of papers that flip through, and you put numbers on, people's names. And I also had a copy of that on the computer, which was pretty hot stuff back then. And that went with the computer, of course, so I didn't have that. So.
Now, why did they come to your house, though? What was that?
Well, they told a federal judge that I was in possession of stolen intellectual property and stolen trade secret, non-published trade secret materials, and this demon of a man, Mr. Lerma, was going to further it's silly stuff to read, but in 6 inches of filings they left out the fact that it was a cart record. They didn't mention that fact. Now I was convinced. I knew what I was dealing. I knew the character of Scientology. Because I had been one, but I'll admit that even when I was in, I was asked once to steal books from the public library that were critical of Scientology, and I refused because I considered the library to be my church. I liked learning things, and books were sacred.
Yeah.
But there were other people that did do this, including stealing critical materials from the Library of Congress, so that when a congressman gets a letter from a constituent saying, "What is this? These Scientology creeps? Why is this abomination legal?" And so he put in an information request to an aide, who'd put in a call request to the Library of Congress, and nothing would come back critical of Scientology because it had been stolen. This is a church? Anyway, about the raid. In the raid, they had me down for a video deposition on a Tuesday, 3 days after the raid. The raid was on a Saturday morning at 9:30. When you watch the raid video, I didn't have a chance to comb my hair, I'm sorry. And I couldn't find a hair tie. I was a little distracted, so excuse my appearance. And I wasn't expecting guests. So just understand that this is like, you get, when you watch this video that we'll give you the link to, you'll be able to see the president of Religious Technology Corporation in my bedroom and in my private office. All right, and a bunch of other mucklucks. I had attorney Earl C. Cooley sitting on my couch, in at least $700 worth of suit and suspenders. But they had a plan, but so did I. You see, I'd been posting these affidavits for 6 months or so, and they'd already come to the house and tried to talk to me to get me to sign an affidavit, which they left on the door, saying that I was a terrible man and you shouldn't listen to anything I say, and I promise I'll never say anything bad about Scientology again, and we'll just go away and forget about it.
That'll work.
I didn't sign that.
They left that on your door?
They left it against the doorknob.
That'll work.
And after that, I called the Washington Post. Well, I sent out 4 or 5 letters to newspapers, and there was a new writer at the Washington Post. His name was Richard Libby, and Libby had worked at the Clearwater Sun. And when he worked at the Clearwater Sun, back a couple of years previous, he was the new guy there. And when the criminal trial of Mary Sue Hubbard came up, none of the reporters wanted to cover the story because they knew that their cat was going to, get hurt or something. So they gave it to the new guy, Rich Libby, and he became their expert on Scientology. And I was absolutely blessed that this man was working with the Washington Post, because when he got my letter describing their coming to visit me in December of '94, he knew exactly what was going to happen, and wrote a prophetic piece called "Scientology's War Against Its Critics," which he published December 25th, Christmas Day, 1994.
You could probably Google that.
Yes, you
and
should Google that one. It's a good one.
And Richard is still doing stuff, right?
Oh yeah, Richard is still kicking.
Yeah.
He's still alive and kicking.
Yeah.
Good man. Let's see, the raid.
No, I think you told it.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Well, yeah,
we're gonna put the link.
Yeah. Well, there's some stuff that happened here that we'll go into in the next one.
Part 3.
About the way their plan was choreographed. How much time do we have left?
I don't know. I forgot to look, but I think we better end off pretty soon.
Okay. Anyway, enjoy.
Lermanet.com is his website, and definitely there's tons of information on it. I'll put the link in here on the raid so you can see it. And thank you very much for doing this interview.
Well, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And thank all you guys. Keep doing what you're doing. Absolutely.
Don't stop. Don't stop. Don't stop. Don't stop. Don't stop.
And Osa, I told you, tick-tock, time is on our side.
Well, every one of the OSA guys that are watching this thing, you have yet to be us, but you will be one day, because every member ends up an ex-member one day. Just don't let it mean death as the only way out.
Yeah, and that isn't an exaggeration. We know way too many people have died way too young. So come on out. We're having a good time. A lot of people, and everybody out that's helping the people get out that are in.
That's this Saturday?
We're having what? The pick?
Is there a picket or something?
Yeah, there is. There's a picket this Saturday.
The picket this Saturday.
In Los Angeles, if you want to come.
Oh, it'll be a freak show.
All right. Ciao, guarantee.
Bye-bye.